All right, welcome in, guys. Farzin Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. What do you know? Another close game for the Chiefs. Another close win. That's just the way things work in Kansas City. But a win is a win, and the Chiefs will take that. It is now their 10th win of the season. The Chiefs once again with double-digit victories on the season. Just seems to be a trend with Kansas City. They've had a winning season every year with Andy Reid, and they've had double-digit wins every year with Andy Reid, except for one, and that was his second season in 2014. So as far as I'm concerned, the Chiefs went out there, got the win, and they found a way to stay unbeaten. All right, I'm sorry, 10-1 on the season. My bad. Improving to 10-1 on the season. I'll take it. A lot of people may not feel the same way, and that's okay. And there are a lot of naysayers who will dissect this game very closely and bring up every reason why the Chiefs should not have won. But that's not what happened. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. The Chiefs won this football game. Defense certainly had an off day. Patrick Mahomes, great today. But boy, the Chiefs certainly, there are things to work on. There are definitely things to work on. I've commented with the link already below. So if you guys want to call in, please do so. The link is on YouTube and on Facebook. I can't be posting the links on Instagram. It doesn't let me. Well, let me try it here. There. So for those of you on Instagram, hopefully you'll be able to click that link. But hopefully you guys will be able to call in. Last week we didn't have a lot of calls, so hopefully we'll get another one. I know there are going to be a lot of opinions today. Let's talk about it. Let's get right into it. This podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. If you guys want to catch the Chiefs on Red Friday, yes, that's right, Red Friday against the Raiders, go to SeatGeek.com, get your tickets, and new customers can use my promo code Farzin and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. I see the comments. I'm already seeing a few people saying ugly win, and listen, I'm good with an ugly win. I'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. I still remember in 07, 08, 09, the Chiefs lost a lot of pretty games against some competitive teams. I remember those days. I remember those days very well. 2012, there were a couple close games that were closer than they should have been that the Chiefs lost. I'll take a win any day over a loss. That's just my mindset of it. Again, props to the Panthers. They showed up in this one, probably much better than a lot of people expected. But it was Kansas City that came out on top and got the win. Patrick Mahomes, great game from him. 19 of 24, only 5 incompletions from Mahomes in this. Or no, I have this wrong. I'm sorry. Let me get the update. There we go. 27 of 37. That sounds more accurate there. 3 touchdowns on the day, no picks, no turnovers from Kansas City in this game. No turnovers from anyone. He had the fumble, which I don't even know if you can really count it as a fumble. Statistically, they counted it as a fumble, but he was already out of bounds anyway. 3 touchdowns for Mahomes. This is his 3rd time in the last 4 games not throwing an interception. So Mahomes definitely playing much better with the football, not committing as many errors as he should. It is a Carolina defense, but at the end of the day, when you go out there and go put these points on the board and limit your mistakes, which is something the Chiefs did, that's what's needed in this one. Absolutely was much needed. Kareem Hunt really came through when the Chiefs needed it, especially on that 4th and inches play there. 16 runs, 68 yards. Patrick Mahomes on that 33-yard run. Dude, that guy, he's done that before. Did it in the AFC Championship game against Tennessee once. This kind of reminded me of that. Except the only difference was he didn't get to the end zone, but man, he got a lot of yards that were much needed, because in that situation, the Chiefs still had to probably run a few plays, at least 2, 3, maybe 4 plays to try to get within striking distance for Spencer Schrader. Keep in mind, it's not Harrison Butker, it's Spencer Schrader right now. But Mahomes did not allow for that to happen. So instead, he took matters into his own hands and he bolted through some of those defenders there and got that big first down and much more. Say what you want about Mahomes, and statistically, his season not being where it should be, that was an MVP play right there. Absolutely much needed with the game on the line. I was a little nervous when the Panthers tied it up. I said, the Chiefs have not been in this situation much this year, and Mahomes, we haven't seen the positive side, I guess, much more because of the the stats this year. But with the game on the line, tied up, trying to prevent an upset, what does Mahomes do? He goes out there and gets that first down. Coming off a loss. I mean, this is what the Chiefs needed. Not the most ideal way to do it, but this was a game they needed to win, bounce back in the win column, and they got that win. That's all that matters at the end of the day. The Chiefs are going to have a lot of things to work on when they do that film study. And it's going to be a short week getting ready for the Raiders. A lot of things to go over here. I got more thoughts, but I'm going to hand it off to you guys. Michael is going to hit lead off here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. Michael, welcome into the podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I mean, a win is a win, but that game was ugly.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, Mahomes is out there running for his life. The line is either holding or he should not have been sacked that many times. That was just ridiculous. Like, I guess I could say the one positive, at least on my side, is that I have D-Hop on my fantasy league, so I'm glad he got a touchdown.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
but,
I thought Kareem Hunt was going to score, but unfortunately, my parlay had other plans for me. But you go ahead.
But yeah, no, like, kudos to Carolina. Everybody wants to say this and that about them, but they played a good football game. And hopefully next week, or hopefully the next game, we'll bounce back and get hopefully a better win.
Yeah, listen, I'm looking at the offensive line because you were talking about that earlier. Wanya Morris didn't play well. You mentioned the penalties on the right side with Jawan Taylor. That's why they got DJ Humphries. I know it's not official, but I think he's going to come in and make a difference for sure.
Nah, I'm definitely ready for a mini Hugh and Pacheco to come back. We need that Pacheco Hunt duo to get cooking so they can be ready to smoke everybody in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. That's going to give the Chiefs a much needed boost. That Pacheco and Kareem Hunt duo, I'm excited to see that. I really am. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch for sure.
But yeah, like, I don't know how much more my heart can take watching these close games like this season. It's getting crazy. I'm over here, like, just not understanding how this is happening. Like, I don't know if they're just downplaying the bad opponents or what's happening. Is like the end of that first half hour is like, oh, this easy dub, nice cushiony lead. I thought they were just going to keep running up the score, and Carolina's defense just fought them back into the game. And then, Bryce Young played pretty well too. So, my heart rate was like, okay, I'm good. And then next thing you know, I'm just like, oh crap, what's going on?
Yeah, that first half was a great first half for the Chiefs. You could not have asked for anything better, especially in the red zone, because the Panthers do have the fifth best red zone offense in the league. But the Chiefs in the second half, I don't know what was up with the defense today. So it was certainly an off day for the defense, but better to learn off a win than a loss for sure. Michael, did you have any other thoughts before we let you go?
No, man, I'm good. Appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you for calling in. If you guys want to call into the podcast, we'll comment with the link again right there. So there's the link. Click on it. Turn on your audio and your video. Put in your name. Let's chat it up, and I'll read some comments as we go throughout the night. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Everyone's disappointed, upset. People are saying this is not a good game. Listen, I still remember in 2022, the Chiefs had a lot of ugly wins that year. I think they might have broken the NFL record for ugly wins in a single season, twice against the Broncos. I think they had one against the Raiders. I know they had one in overtime against the Texans. And there was another one there I just can't remember right now. Guys, you all know, I mean, listen, I predicted a one-sided game, but I predicted the Chiefs would win. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. See, Debner right there says it. A win is a win. We can do better. I agree with that 100%. I'll take the win right now. I'll absolutely take the win. Because if you don't win this game, you're not in first place. Because then at that point, you have to scoreboard watch very heavily moving forward with the Buffalo Bills. And I don't think you want to be in that position right now, especially in mid-November and how easy Buffalo's schedule is coming up. That you definitely do not want. So I'm happy the Chiefs were able to pull off the win. Again, I know a lot of people may not be excited about that. I'll take that win over a loss. Listen, let me just repeat it again, because I know a lot of people are going in and out of the live stream. And for those of you who came in late, I said this earlier. I still remember in 07, 08, 09, in 2011, and in 2012, the Chiefs they were bad those years. Lost a lot of games those years. I still remember the Chiefs having quote unquote pretty losses where they were able to compete with some of those teams, those tough teams that they probably should have been blown out by. That's Carolina right now. This Carolina team, they did what the Chiefs did in 07, 08, 09, where they had a lot of close games that people didn't even give them a chance. So, listen, I still remember 2022. The Chiefs had a lot of close games that year, and I heard from a lot of people saying that the Chiefs, they're basically going to be set up for failure in the playoffs. Well, what happened? The Chiefs went out there and won the Super Bowl against the Eagles that year. Last year, all kinds of problems, and the Chiefs still found a way to win the Super Bowl again. So I'm not too concerned about it right now. The officiating was weird today. It's been bad all year, though. It's been bad all year. For people who say the Chiefs get all the calls, this game does not support that narrative. Not one bit. But people are going to believe their narratives over facts any day of the week. Let's keep it going with the calls right now. Bob, I see you've been waiting. Bob, welcome into the Chiefs On Podcast. What's up, Bob?
What's up, Bars? Hey, man, I tell you, the officials got a lot of playing time today, man. They did. They got on camera a lot. They ought to be proud of themselves. I don't know how many penalties they had total today, but I'm going to tell you what, they had a shitload of them. And some of them was ticky-tacky. Some of them was well thrown, I mean, McDuffie, he's got to start playing better, brother.
Yeah.
He's got to start playing better. Our offensive line has to play better. Our defensive line has to put you can't let these guys sit back there and do whatever they want with you. They're not getting in there on sacks like we did early on in the year. There's a lot of things changing on this football team. And I don't know that they're, all bad. But, man, I'll tell you, they fix one thing and something else falls apart. It's kind of like a golf game, man.
It kind of is, yeah.
They do just enough to bring you back, And, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A W is a W in the NFL, man. Apologize to nobody. We're 10-1. It's time to keep moving forward, being positive. We are defending champions, and we still got a shot in this thing where most teams don't. So I say get our healthy guys back in here. Let's put this thing back together. They might scrub the whole plan that they've been doing because it hasn't been working very well.
No.
But, Patty played really well today.
Yeah.
I don't know what his stats are, but, man, he didn't throw no INTs. You talked about them in the first quarter scoring. They'd only had 4 scores up to this point in the season. And they had 2 of them in the first quarter of this game. So.
Bob, real quickly, let me just, you said you didn't know what the stat line was exactly. It's 27 of 37 for 269 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, no pick. This is the 3rd time in the last 4 games Mahomes has thrown for 3 touchdowns and no picks. He threw 3 touchdowns last week, but had 2 picks. But in the other 3 games during this 4-game stretch, no picks in this one. So Patrick Mahomes playing much better lately. 10 touchdowns, 2 picks so far in the last 4 games.
And hey, man, and the instinct when the game is on the line, the dude is tuned in, man. There's nobody better. He smells it, man. He knows when to take off. And
absolutely.
We've seen him go down that sideline before. They think they're going to tackle him, then he just sidestepped them. I mean, he's creative when he's out there like that. So, we're very fortunate to have that guy play on our football team.
Yeah,
and,
that was huge.
He's bringing us a lot of joy, and he's bringing us a lot of thinking going on. So
yeah,
I think he's cleaned up his play. But it's time for them to clean up this line play, man. This line play has to get better on both sides of the ball. I think that's what's really hurting us. So, I mean,
Yeah.
because they're sitting back there picking these guys off, man. Number 13, Johnson, man, he's a step and a half slower than any wide receiver I've seen this year.
Yeah, he's been bad this year for sure.
So anyway, I'll quit hogging all the airtime. Appreciate you having me on, brother.
I appreciate you, Bob. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate the call and the thoughts there. Rochelle, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to quickly respond to the offensive line comments there because while Bob was saying that, there were a lot of comments about the offensive line as well. All I can say is this is why you signed DJ Humphries. Interior offensive line, they certainly had their off day today. Like the defense, is that going to happen every single week? Of course not. You guys know that. Hey, listen, you're going to have off days. Tom Brady had a lot of unexpected off days. Peyton Manning. I mean, you take the best players in NFL history, Hall of Famers. They all had their down games as well, especially in a surprising manner against bad teams. Do those happen often? No, of course not. So that's something you got to keep in mind. And Timothy, I did highlight your comment. 9 consecutive seasons with double-digit wins. It's happened 10 times. Andy Reid's been the head coach for 11 seasons now? If I have that right, feels like forever. And of those 11, you have made the playoffs every year except for 2014. 2014, you had 9 wins. So that was the only year you did not have double-digit wins. You've had a winning season every year with them. You've had a winning season 9 consecutive years, 10 times total double-digit wins under Andy Reid. I love it. Every single year you've had double-digit wins with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. All right, Rochelle, you've been waiting very patiently. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Yeah, it started out great, and then from there, I said if they can just keep that score, at least 2 touchdowns ahead or something like that. But then I don't know what happened with the offense and the defense. I've been kind of worried about the offense, but now it just seems like the defense. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about the playoffs in a way, but to me, they wasn't protecting Mahomes. He got sacked, and that they couldn't even get to the Panthers quarterback. He gets the ball out really quick. I mean, they were blitzing, but they didn't get him. I mean,
you're right. They were going after him, but they only sacked him once in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he got that ball out of his hands pretty quick, but I'm glad Mahomes put on his cape there at the end and made it happen. No, it wasn't pretty, and the Panthers, I give it to them. They played pretty good. But, any given Sunday, any team can beat any other team, but good thing that didn't happen with to us today. But Schrader is pretty good so far. He's doing a good job. I was just hoping he didn't miss that field goal.
You, me, and everybody else, every single person. You have those concerns as when you have a backup kicker there, understandably so. But no, you're right. He delivered. Didn't miss a PAT last week. Made all 3 PATs and all 3 field goals today.
Yeah. I mean, even every once in a while, Butker, misses a field goal, but you just don't want them to miss it, at the very end where you could win. I think they're really playing as a team. Everybody is in there, just like when they blocked the field goal. Special teams, they're playing as a team. They don't normally do that too much, but I'm hoping this DJ Humphries will help out. I don't know who else they're going to be trying to get before the playoffs, but I hope they get better before the playoffs because those are the teams. Those are the real competitive teams.
Yes. Hey, let me just, I'll push back a little bit and give you maybe like an optimistic point of view on this, Rochelle, because didn't we say that last year as well? I mean, there were a lot of concerns. Yeah. I know this year is a different year, but the offense is playing much better this year. And the Chiefs are going to turn it up. And here's kind of, where the optimistic side is. And I think you got to have some things go in your favor, or the Bills would need to lose another game. If the Chiefs get that number 1 seed, and if they can rest their starters for week 18, that would bode well for Kansas City, because when they rested their starters last year in the final week against the Chargers, that really helped out. Kelsey played much better. Mahomes played much better. Offense still had issues, but they came through in the playoffs against, by the way, great teams that were blowing out a lot of people last year.
Yeah. It seems like when they get a break, that really helps a bye or whatever. Because they say normally when you get a break, Andy Reid he's coming up with some stuff. So I just hope they beat the Raiders Friday.
Yeah, you can't lose to the Raiders at home 2 years in a row. Rochelle, did you have any other thoughts, questions?
No, that's it. That's it.
All
I
right.
just hope they beat the Raiders Friday.
All right. I'm certain they will. Hopefully they will. Appreciate you calling in. If you guys want to call in, there it is right there. I'll post in the link once again. Hopefully you guys see that on Instagram as well. I posted the link on there. Hopefully it's clickable. Don't know how that works on the Instagram side, but I'll just leave that there for now. I want to go to the defense for a moment here, because they're just not getting the sacks this year, which is very interesting. This has certainly been something that a lot of people are responding to this. We had Sean Smith, the former defensive lineman. He was on the podcast earlier this week, and we talked about this. And I knew the Chiefs had been playing from behind in every single game, but he really put that into perspective, saying that the Chiefs offense is kind of hurting the defense because when you're playing from behind, the team that's winning doesn't need to throw the ball as much. And that's kind of, he's right. You don't see teams that are going to go pass heavy when they have the lead, even though the Chiefs have won a lot in those situations. But the Chiefs had a significant lead at halftime, and they start off the second half with a lead. They were out there, as Rochelle mentioned, they were out there getting the pressures, and I know Bob alluded to this a little bit as well, but they're just not getting to the quarterback. They're not getting those sacks like they did last year when they were second in the NFL behind Baltimore. I don't really know what you can point to that allows you to figure out why they're not getting that. I'm gradually just coming to accept the fact that, they're getting pressure. They are getting pressure. They're just not getting that sack, the statistical sack. They're getting almost sacks. I know a lot of people will view it a certain way, but that's just the way it's been for this Chiefs defense this year. Last week they allowed 30. Today they allowed 27. Can they bring that number down by a significant amount against a weak Raiders team that has nothing working for them this year? Hopefully so. John, you've been waiting very patiently. You're on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, John?
Oh, well, you have a perfect lead-in from me. The reason why they're not getting the sacks like last year is the coverage in the secondary was much better. So a lot of times last year they got sacks because of coverage. Right now, I like Connor, but he's not a slot corner. And 13's doing okay, but he's shutting nobody down. That's one reason they got sacks last year. The secondary was blanketing everybody, and there's wide open receivers this year all the time.
Yeah, no, you're right. There certainly has been. And I think a lot of people keep mentioning Snead. Listen, Snead's great, but unfortunately he's hurt right now. So do we miss a skill set like L'Jarius Snead? Certainly. And Jalen Watson's injury does not help either.
That's who we miss. Ever since he's been out, if you look at every week, the defense has been getting worse and worse. They haven't stopped anybody the last drive of a game, the last 5 weeks, I think.
Yeah, you're right. By the way, I'm seeing people bring up the quarterback position just like you are, John. And I know the Vikings recently waived, who was it? Caleb Evans. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to get him on waivers this week, but that's the name that's out there. I know I mentioned J.C. Jackson. I mean, he's still a fairly young guy. Patrick Peterson was great at one point.
They're both
options, though.
They're not man guys. They're both zone guys. And Spags' defense needs man coverage in order to work.
No, you're certainly right.
I mean, the problem is I think the offense is going to get better and better as the year goes along. Worthy's his improvement the last 3 weeks has been incredible. He's running routes and catching passes. If Hollywood Brown can ever come back, he will. The guy got opened every time I saw him playing for Arizona and Baltimore. Patrick will find him if he's healthy.
Listen, there was some good news today. I don't know if you caught that, John, or anyone else listening. The word was from Jonathan Jones, the NFL insider for CBS. He could come back as early as Christmas. That is the report from Jonathan Jones. So there's a possibility he could come back even before the playoffs.
Well, we're going to need the offense the way the defense is playing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Did you have any other thoughts you want to weigh in with, John?
No, just that was about it. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
All right. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, and to everyone else. Appreciate you guys. Of course, we'll be having a different schedule this week with the holidays and Black Friday game. I'll get into that at a later time. He raised some good points. The secondary, certainly hasn't. And I think I saw a comment that said the exact same thing as John. Yeah, I saw that from Doug. It's the defensive backs, not the D-line. That's what happens when you have Jalen Watson, who, is replacing L'Jarius Sneed. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Jalen Watson, he played great this year. He really has. But then, he gets injured. You put Nazeeh Johnson in, and he got hurt as well at one point, but then came back. What are your options right now? And I mentioned a couple of names. I saw somebody mention Xavier Howard's out there. Yeah, maybe. I know he was looked at by the Bengals, but they did not agree to any kind of agreement. Yeah, Chris, I saw your comment there, and I know he's dealing with some sort of investigation off the field, so I'm not sure what exactly the interest level would be between the Chiefs and Howard. Like I said, there are names out there. There certainly are. You certainly want a much better option than Nazeeh Johnson in the playoffs. I know Spags has praised Nazeeh Johnson heavily in the past. We're just not seeing that come to fruition at the moment. We're just not. Riley, you're on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's going on, Riley?
How's it going, man? How's it going?
Good.
Chiefs win, but wasn't the prettiest one, but we did it.
Yes.
Absolutely. The offense looked a lot more solid today. But there were those issues in the offensive line, I think, especially in the third and fourth quarter. But overall, I do like what I see, especially out of Gray. I think that's a great second to have on the other side of Travis Kelce. But I would like to see Travis doing more, but he's always going to be double covered. You can pretty much guarantee that. But yeah, no, it was a fun game, exciting one. But he always likes to bring it down to the end.
Yeah, certainly. And to look at Travis Kelce, he had 4 catches in the first half. He had 2 more in the second half. He finished with 6 for 62 yards. Noah Gray had 4 of 66. 2 games in a row. Noah Gray has had a pair of touchdowns, so 4 touchdowns in 2 games. He's had 4 touchdowns in the span of 5 quarters, so it's been really good to see Noah Gray step up the way he has.
Absolutely. And, it's sad to say, but I really do think that they're kind of training him up to be that Kelce replacement. He's always been a good second for him, but if we, obviously depending on how the season ends, it's going to be hard to tell what Kelce does after this season. But if he were to, God forbid, retire, I think he would be a good replacement.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, there was a reason why the Chiefs extended him right before the season got underway. And that extension is looking really good right now. One of Brett Veach's underrated moves, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He's someone who's been there for a while, who knows the system, and obviously will continue to have success with that quarterback. So yeah, another good win, but we need to win these a little bit more outright.
That's not the way things work, Riley. That's just
I know. That's that fan in me, though. I know.
No, I'm with you, though. Everybody agrees. Hopefully, they can start figuring that out really soon, because the Raiders, I mean, they're bad, but they always play the Chiefs tough. That Sunday night game is going to be tough in the month of December, especially that stretch around Christmas is going to be a really tough stretch for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chargers game on the 8th is going to be tough. That one's, they always play hard. They always play good against us. So that one's going to be an interesting one. We'll be there in Kansas City, so it'll be fun. But no, the Raiders game this Friday is going to be interesting for sure, especially with it being on. That's Prime. The one on Christmas is on Netflix, right? Okay.
Well, let's not get into Netflix.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, Farzan, appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Riley. Appreciate it. Yeah. And I will say the NFL did reportedly speak to Netflix, and apparently they're told all systems go. Nothing to worry about. Take that for what it's worth to you. Daniel, you're on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's going on, Daniel?
Hey, what's going on? Look, I was looking at the points against, and yeah, we're right there. I mean, a lot of the division we're only third, I think, when it comes to points against. They're only 218 points. So I believe the defense they might be a little tired. The offense has been, that's a lot of sacks that Mahomes has been giving up a lot. And I know that, hopefully DJ will make a difference and get somebody else. But I know the corners are for the defenses, not keeping up. But do you think should we blitz more? Is it because we should be playing zone? Is this a zone defense now instead of man?
Look, they had 4 at one point. They were sending just the defensive line and they were getting pressure. They go out there and blitz and they were getting pressure. The coverage in the secondary has just been off by half a second. It's really been that big of a difference for Kansas City. I mean, you saw that 4th down play right there. Bryce Young, he was they sent the heat, but he had that. I think it was Adam Thielen on the left, and he threw it at the right time. That's been the difference.
Yeah, my main concern is that this team is oddly remind me of the team that went and played in Tampa and during the Super Bowl when it comes to the offensive line. And I hope that this is not what is to come, to where Mahomes is going to be running for his life the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year if they get there, because it's like to struggle with. I know it's any given Sunday in these teams and trap game, maybe not. I don't know, with the division game coming on a short week, with these holiday games. Is it the fact that they're fatigued? I mean, every day, right? Every game, every day they play during the week except for Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that's how it is.
I don't know if it's starting to wear out because every different, they're playing all these different days. So, but
yeah, we'll see. And listen, to talk about the offensive line, I'm hoping the DJ Humphries addition alleviates some of the pain that Mahomes has been facing. But yeah, it's been rough. It's got to be much better, 100%.
So, yeah, man. So anyway, thanks a lot for don't want to hog up. So,
all right, appreciate you, Daniel. Thank you for calling in. By the way, I will say this because I think the sack numbers today a little bit misleading, because the 2 sacks that Mahomes took in the end there before they gave the football back, Mahomes was doing that to basically force Carolina to use a couple of its timeouts, which worked. Now, I will say I think those were terrible play calls. I mean, if the goal is, I get it, you want to be aggressive, you want to throw the ball down the field, but let Kareem Hunt cook. Samaje Perine. I mean, we didn't see much of Samaje Perine. He had 1 catch for 13 yards in the first half, and then he had a run also for 13 yards in the first half. He finished with 2 catches for 11 yards, so obviously lost a couple of yards in the second. That was the one where the Chiefs just kept going back with a lot of penalties and eventually punted the football away. But, at the end of the day, if you're watching this Chiefs offense, like what was the strategy there? I mean, I'm glad Mahomes just stayed in bounds, took the sack. That way time could go off the clock. But if your goal is to let time go off the clock or force Carolina to use timeouts, I don't think it's a very bright idea to have your quarterback get beat to hell. I mean, I know he was kind of already going down just to avoid a hard physical contact, and rightfully so. That's what every quarterback should do in that situation. Because I'm sure they told him, they said, look, it's got to be a completion. And if you can't complete it, I mean, get down. And that's exactly what Mahomes did. But why is that the strategy there? Why is that the strategy? Run the damn ball. Let me pull up that sequence of events there real quickly, because it was right before. So they go out there, they get 6 yards. Oh no, I'm reading the wrong. My bad. Give me one moment here. There it is. Yeah, 3 plays for -9 yards. That was the 3-and-out drive. Kareem Hunt got you 4 yards. Okay, 2nd and 6 at the 29. Not the worst thing in the world. Then Mahomes takes a sack for 6 yards. So you go from 2nd and 6 to 4th and 19. I mean, he had a sack for -6 yards, a sack for -7 yards. Yeah. Again, I get the strategy to, don't risk an incompletion, but the way the Chiefs went about it, I mean, come on, you already have enough issues with your offensive tackles letting Mahomes get hurt. And now, the coaches are putting Mahomes in a really bad spot. I don't think so. I mean, you knew what the Panthers defense was going to do. They were going to blitz in hopes that they could force an incompletion. I mean, it's got to be much better than that. Okay, Lynn says Nagy's atrocious you meant to say play calling is unacceptable. Okay, I got to push back on this comment here. Look, Lynn, you're not the only one who does this. I see this by damn near everyone. When things are working, who gets the credit? Andy Reid gets the credit. But when things are not working, who gets the blame? It's either Eric Bieniemy or Matt Nagy, whoever is the offensive coordinator. From 2018 to 2022, whenever things did not work, everyone blamed Eric Bieniemy. Nobody blamed Andy Reid. And then the last couple of years, it's been Matt Nagy. So whenever things are not working, everyone goes to the offensive coordinator. Andy Reid's the play caller. Or do they hand off play calling duties during the game? I mean, I don't know. I'm not there, but you heard Charles Davis say this, and this has been going on for years. Andy Reid's the play caller. I mean, he's the guy who does all that. I've always said, Bieniemy or Nagy, whoever's the offensive coordinator, those guys, they're the enforcer. That's what they do. And I'll tell you what, Bieniemy did a better job of enforcing the offense than Matt Nagy has. Because Eric Bieniemy held guys accountable. Go listen to one of Tyreek Hill's first few podcasts that he did. He talked about the time when the Bills destroyed the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead, and Bieniemy just lashed out, shaming the entire offense all week. Now, wasn't really all of the offense's fault. I mean, Tyreek Hill had a ball go off his hands for a pick six. Basically, Kadarius Toney did, and then you had Dan Sorensen doing Dan Sorensen things. But my point is, Bieniemy was always holding the players accountable. 100%. I just don't think it's fair. And I agree with the notion. Look, Nagy's not a great offensive coordinator. I'll agree with that. But I just don't think, why is it that people blame the offensive coordinator when things don't work? I don't know. I don't get that. Yeah, I do agree. Nagy just wants to be everyone's friend. Yeah, that's certainly the case. I know Nagy and Mahomes do have a great relationship off the field. They've attended a lot of Nagy's high school football games together, which, that's great. Off the field camaraderie, I don't think people realize what that can do for a football team. I don't think people realize how important that is, or for any sports team. But man, I'll take Eric Bieniemy over someone that wants to be buddy with you. Travis Kelce, by the way, climbing the record books. He is now third all time in NFL history in receiving yards by a tight end, just passing Antonio Gates. I don't think he's going to be catching Tony Gonzalez. That seems like it's a bit out of reach. But gosh, the things that this guy does. And he, by the way, he only needs one touchdown to surpass Tony Gonzalez for most touchdown catches all time in Chiefs history. Didn't do it today, but if he does it Friday against the Raiders, he will have done it in 19 fewer games than Tony Gonzalez. That would be huge for sure. And he has a chance to do it at home. I'll certainly take that. I'll give a few more final thoughts here. If anyone else wants to call in, your last call to do so right here. Appreciate everyone who called in today. A lot of great calls, a lot of great comments, thoughts on today's Chiefs win over the Panthers. A win is a win. I'm not complaining, man. Should it have been that close? No. But like I said at the beginning of the show, I still remember in 07, 08, 09, 2012. I remember the Chiefs, they were really bad all those years. They did not have more than 4 wins in any of those 4 seasons I mentioned. And I recall the Chiefs having a lot of pretty losses. What's the definition of a pretty loss? It means you're a bad team and you were able to compete with a really good team. I'm taking that win. The Chiefs had a lot of ugly wins in 2022. What did 2022 turn into? Turn into a Super Bowl win for Kansas City. So you guys know there will never be any complaining from me when it comes to a win. You never apologize for winning in the NFL. I do want to go back to a comment earlier made by John he was talking about Xavier Worthy and his involvement recently with the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's right. We're starting to see Xavier Worthy get much more involved. He is tied right now with Marvin Harrison Jr. for most touchdowns from scrimmage, being a total of 6, 4 receiving, 2 rushing. But when you look at his receiving numbers, the past 5 games against the Raiders in Vegas, he had 4 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. Against the Bucs, he didn't have a catch. Against the Broncos, only had 1 catch. Now that 1 catch was very significant. Went for 11 yards on a play where Mahomes was being pressured and helped the Chiefs move the chains on that one. And then last week against Buffalo, 4 for 61 and a touchdown. All of them were in the first half, though. We saw it a little bit more consistently today, where he had 4 for 46 in this game. So we're starting to see the connection between Mahomes and Worthy, and they put it on CBS where they mentioned Rashee Rice and how quiet he was the first 10 games with the Chiefs. He was a second-round pick. Xavier Worthy has fewer numbers in the first 10 games compared to Rice's first 10 games as a rookie, but he's starting to get into a groove, kind of like how Bryce did last year, eventually get going. Yeah, the Commanders. The Commanders had an 86-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels to I don't know who, but Washington missed the extra point. You know what that reminds me of? Remember, I think it was in 02 or 03 when the Saints had that insane lateral and they got the touchdown, but they missed the extra point to tie the game. That's what that reminded me of. And funny enough, that touchdown play, actually, didn't that win an ESPY award for best player or something? I remember it won some sort of an award. Appreciate it. Shout outs to Susie from down under in Australia. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Let me just look at the stats real quickly from this game, see if there's anything I'm missing. First downs, boy, Kansas City was dominating the first down battle. They still won it 27-21. The penalties in this one, Kansas City penalized 10 times for 91 yards, almost the full length of a football field. Carolina 9 for 53, not even close in terms of total yardage against the Chiefs when it came to penalties. So, by the way, the Chiefs got a second sack. I do not recall the Chiefs getting a second. Who got the second sack? I know the first one was from Mike Dana. Who got the second sack? McDuffie and Bolton split a sack. Do you guys recall that? I do not recall that. When the hell did that happen? McDuffie and Bolton split a sack according to ESPN's box score. For the life of I could, if my life depended on it, I could not recall when that was. I don't know when. That's news to me. I'm gonna have to go back and look for that one. I mean, I'm gonna rewatch the game anyway, but I do not recall that at all. Do not recall that at all. 7 QB hits for the Chiefs. George Karlaftis had 2. He at one point was going after Bryce Young, I think on a 2-point play without his helmet. Chris Jones had 1. McDuffie had 1 as well. Bolton, Dan. I mean, listen, the Chiefs are going out there blitzing like they always do, but Gwen says I don't recall any sacks. Yeah, that's it doesn't. I saw a tweet today. Someone said it felt like the Chiefs felt like forever since they got a sack because Dana got one. Yeah, okay. So nobody recalls the McDuffie and Bolton split sack. Okay, maybe that's an error on ESPN. I don't know because I only recall 1 sack, and that was the strip sack from Dana. That's it. That's all I remember. Sometimes these box scores there will be errors and they'll go back and change things, but yeah, I certainly don't recall that. Props to the Panthers. I mean, they lost Jatavian Sanders, and prayers to him because they did send him to a local hospital shortly after halftime. Man, I mean, that's just scary. That is scary. They called it a concussion at first. Now they're calling it a neck injury, and that's not something you ever mess with. So hopefully he'll be okay. Chuba Hubbard, by the way, he rushed for 58 yards. That ties a season best for a running back against the Chiefs. Jordan Mason and Chuba Hubbard Both have ran for 58 yards against Kansas City. No running back has ran for more than 58 yards against the Chiefs. No one. Let's see. DeAndre Hopkins got involved more. 5 for 35 and a touchdown. Not the greatest stat line, but the Chiefs used a lot of short routes with him. And I think I saw Matt Derrick mention that's the guy who's still trying to understand the offense, trying to understand Andy Reid's playbook mid-season. That's never an easy thing to do. You're playing with a limited knowledge of the playbook, and you're still going out there scoring touchdowns for the Chiefs, doing all kinds of things, getting involved with that offense. And eventually the timing will get down. The report about Hollywood Brown this morning gives me a lot of optimism that they're going to be better offensively. And I think that can alleviate some of the errors you're seeing on defense. Are they going to go out there and get the free agent from Minnesota, Evans? I don't know. That's it's going to be Brett Veach's call right there. But it was certainly something to try. I mean, listen, I know there are free agents out there, but I'm willing to give any of those guys a try. Xavier Howard, that's a guy I've been a big fan of for a long time, but I don't know. I mean, he's dealing with that off the field thing, so I don't know if that's something the Chiefs really want to mess with. We'll have to see. Listen, I do not know what the schedule is going to be like for this week. The Chiefs are playing on a Friday, so I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know if they have an off day or how that all works on a Friday. But I do know they'll be, let me just quickly, by the way, check and see, because I do have my notifications turned off. Did Andy Reid comment on anything involving DJ Humphries? And by the way, the question from Janelle about what are the Chiefs going to do with Wanya Morris? Probably bench him for DJ Humphries. And I would imagine that happens much sooner than later, because I don't know why the Chiefs would even want to wait any longer for that switch. You got to do it soon. Let me see what Andy Reid said. Hendershot had calf cramps, otherwise no injuries. Okay, great news, I guess. Andy Reid on Patrick Mahomes' run on Spencer Schrader felt pretty good. Nothing from Andy Reid about DJ Humphries. I'm sure it'll be asked tomorrow. Again, I don't know if the Chiefs are doing a press conference tomorrow, given the weird week it's going to be. Because normally it's, if you're playing on a Sunday, if you're going from Sunday to Sunday, Monday you just have film study and a walkthrough. And there's really not much else. The Chiefs just have an Andy Reid press conference. It's a Zoom press conference. Tuesday they're off. Wednesday is Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and a couple players. Thursday is the coordinators and Chris Jones and a couple other players. Friday is Andy Reid, and sometimes you get a player or two. So I don't know how that works. Yeah, we're all Raiders fans for 3 hours. We'll see what happens there. Okay. All right, guys. We will have a podcast tomorrow. The rest of the schedule I will announce tomorrow night during the podcast, so join me for that. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you for those who called in, for those who commented as well. A lot of great discussion. Appreciate you guys being part of the podcast. For those of you who listen to the archive version later on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere where you can download and listen to podcasts. Appreciate you guys very much. Appreciate all of you guys. If you're traveling this week, be safe. You can check out the Chief Zone while you're driving, while you're flying, however you'll be traveling this week. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care.